In Tucker we trust. This is Cory, and this is the Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. I want to say welcome, everyone, to Hallow Thanks Xmas. Because I don't know if you've noticed.
Start of the season.
Yeah. I walked into Walmart yesterday, and already Halloween and Christmas stuff already going out. It's like, let's not even enjoy one holiday. Let's just skip through one big holiday season.
Yeah.
So, and fortunately, it feels as if it's wintertime. So,
yeah,
that's good.
The wind and the cold.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, I was wearing shorts and t-shirt 2 days ago. Jeans, actual shoes, and a hoodie now.
Yeah, I'm feeling better about it.
Well, you like the wintertime,
yeah,
so
I'm more in tune with the winter. Winter is my spirit season.
The polar bear. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Anthem podcast. Whether you're listening to us on iTunes or Stitcher or Dogcatcher or YouTube through the website, thank you for chiming in and joining with us. Make sure that you rate and review us, especially on iTunes, so that we know what you like, what you don't like, all of those things. Make sure you like and subscribe so that, like I noted for Colin this week, he had actually listened to the entire podcast before we even put up anything on social media.
Yeah.
So when you like and subscribe, you get those drops immediately. Whenever they go up on the internet, it's available to you. So
yeah, you
that's
don't have to wait. It's like the Black Friday lines,
right?
Like, you get the deals before everybody else.
Exactly right.
Get these sweet, funny deals.
And I do want to say a special hello and a special thank you for listening to Carla, Katie, and Olivia, who are our, probably not the youngest, but our most avid tween and teenage followers. They're looking for t-shirts. We got to get on that.
Yeah, soon. I promise you, soon.
Yeah. So, thank you for tuning in once again. We hope you enjoy the episode for those three and for everybody else. So, yeah. They apparently think that we're famous. So, let's not ruin that.
So here's the jig. If we run into them in public, just everyone has to start like chasing us like long day,
right?
Hard Day's Night.
Fawning all over us would be good. That'd be fantastic. So, but another good thing about fall, well, two good things about fall. Football season's back.
Pumpkin spice everything.
Oh, God, no. No. I did see a meme of somebody like doing a line of pumpkin spice, and I'm like, let's just cut right to it. There you go.
I love it when my pumpkin spice is all pumpkin spicy.
Oh, my God. Everything pumpkin. And you know what else comes out in the fall? The Uggs. Woo! Yay!
You know what else comes out in the falls? Boys' dicks.
Now, ladies.
That's all year for you slut.
And no more shaving. Yay! Diets are for the spring.
Immediately after we talk about our young listeners.
Well,
I have no shame.
We are not a PG-13 rated podcast. Oh, you know what you're getting into. What can I say? But the other good thing about fall is football season is back. I'm going to just say let's ignore the previous 3 weeks of the football season.
I don't know if I can.
Well, let's see. I predicted 12-4. You predicted 11-5.
Yeah.
Which means that our wonderful Baltimore Ravens are essentially going to have to win out at this point to get that done. So, of course, we are your Baltimore podcast, so we're going to jump right into some Ravens news. As if you didn't already know, the Ravens come up with their first win of the season. Kinda. Like, stumbling into a victory.
I am so, absolutely frustrated with this team.
The Ravens MVP of that game, Josh Scobie, the kicker for maybe Mike Tomlin on the other side.
Is he dead yet? I don't know.
He's got to be getting traded. You got to think he's going to.
Just released. I can't even imagine you would get him anything for him.
Well, here's Heinz Field's hard to kick in, and all of those missed kicks were in the bad end of the stadium. Well, I get that.
All those kicks didn't look good at all.
No, they didn't. No.
There wasn't a single that first one, which was like a 25-yard chip shot or something like that. Barely made it.
And wasn't it partially blocked?
There, but by the grace of God, go it.
Well, I mean, I think it was partially blocked too. Partially blocked. Barely made it across. Nothing about their kicking game was syncing up at all.
Yeah, unlike us. Justin Tucker is a man amongst men.
And Colin chimed in and said something about clutch. I was like, shut your whore mouth. No. Because if you call him that right now, it's not going to happen. But he was clutch. Look at that.
Well, JR, too. I was watching the game at Rob Maggie's, and JR chimed in with, like, don't worry, Ravens are going to win 23-20. And I'm just like, you shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear it right now.
No, don't say it.
Don't put things like that in the universe. Because even though a win 23-20 would be great, which is what ended up happening.
Right.
I still don't want like there to be juju associated with comments from Jets fans.
And it goes in
your team's in London. You deal with that.
It goes in the win column, but let's be honest, the Steelers lost that game. We didn't win that game. We just had the ball last. That's
the
what
game basically should have ended in a tie.
Well, I don't know about that. I think it should have ended with them not going into the overtime.
Well, I mean, so the fake field goal was dumb. Can we just all say that?
Yes.
Just take the points.
Take the points.
When they give them to you, just take the points.
Because that would have tied it up. That would have tied it up going in. So I get...
Oh, and that would have...
good.
If everything had remained the same beyond that, and obviously things change, but I mean, like, if everything had remained the same, then we would have won in regulation.
Right. Well,
instead,
and there's a lot of trickery, trying to be so cute. Like, fucking just play football already.
Yeah. Well, they were trying to, take out all the stops because they're at, 0-3 and they didn't want to go to 0-4.
Yeah, anything you can do. And I get all that, but for Christ's sake, like, put the points on the board and see how it shakes out. The other person who won that game, the other MVP, is the head ref who put 4 seconds back on the clock so that they had to run.
But good.
Well, I mean, good for us, but they had to run a play.
That was the correct call.
Yeah, but again, they didn't have to do that.
Right.
And that extra play gave us time. Yeah. That's all that it did. So, thank God that we got the extra 4 seconds and that Scobie can't hit a kick to save his life, and that Justin Tucker's leg is ridiculous.
And Tomlin's dumb. Like, I don't even understand what that Michael Vick left sweep play was.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. What it comes down to is when you don't trust your kicker, you got to go deep in the bag and try to find something.
No, but I mean, you have Le'Veon Bell who's been torching us all game.
Yeah.
And, and just like waiting it out, like just hiding behind the line and just like waiting for his openings. Like, we didn't have any kind of penetration and it was terrible.
I'm going to ask you an SAT question.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin and Le'Veon Bell are the same as what? What goes on the other side of that SAT equation? Really? Pete Carroll, Marshawn Lynch.
Oh.
How the highest paid player on that side of the ball, you know what I mean?
The most talented player.
Yeah, just give it to him and let it run. Don't be cute. Don't stop trying to be cute.
Well, it's 2 yards, too. It's not like the...
Well, Flacco couldn't cover 2 feet.
Yeah.
So, I don't even know what that was. And risk getting injured, like went in the middle of the pile. Like, let's just get injured.
Let's just be real about the Ravens here.
Yeah.
The coaching has been terrible.
Can't blame Harbaugh because he doesn't call the offensive plays.
No, but I can blame him for letting Tressman live.
You got to think they're in the market though.
The defense has been atrocious.
Oh, yeah. How'd that work out for you this week?
I got 5 points in my matchup against you.
Magic points.
I plan on winning this thing.
Yeah, by the time you hear this podcast, we will know who is the winner of the first OTA battle of the season.
Yeah, the OTA Bowl.
Yeah, well, we'll have another one later on too.
Right,
everybody plays twice, so you'll have another one later on. But the first version, 5 points of dismal 5 points from the defense.
It's all right. It's all right. I'll make them up elsewhere.
Right. We'll see how that works out.
I finally am getting healthy.
You mean your team?
Yeah, not me personally. No, me personally, I'm falling apart. But
the team
is getting healthy. So
you had a bench that was just full of suspensions and IR. Yeah. Just not great. But yeah,
and I kept saying to myself, like, is it worth starting Matt Choice?
Who else do I have? Yeah. You don't make a lot of waiver moves either.
Well, it's because I don't want to drop any of the people who are going to be valuable when they get off the injured reserve. Like,
okay, fair enough. That's why I got.
Like, what do I do? Drop Arian Peterson for the flavor of the week just because?
Yeah.
Or Arian Foster. I'm sorry, Arian Peterson.
Yeah. Arian Foster, you could totally put him out on waivers. Would have no problem.
Nobody would pick him up.
Nobody. He'll be waiting there when you want him back.
it's week 4. It's time for Arian Foster to come back. And, oh, God.
He's now playing for Res Ipsa Locator.
I saw JR drop Des Bryant. I picked him up immediately, and I'm just like, oh man, this is gonna be so fucking sweet when he comes back.
No long-term thinking, really. But I noticed that.
No, that's super long-term thinking.
No, he has no long-term thinking. Yeah. Just like, all right, I got to get somebody in there.
Right.
But like, I got Roethlisberger on the bench. I was waiting to hear, and then when they said 6 to 8, I was like, all right, well, you know, and it turns out it'll be less than that now. But so he'll be back.
Well, it's an MCL sprain, so
yeah. And he was standing and walking on the sideline.
Yeah.
He'll be back. Drew Brees will be back, although I think the quarterbacks are the exception because nobody's dropped quarterbacks. Romo's still on team.
Nope.
Oh, did they drop Romo?
I dropped Romo.
You dropped
Romo was my quarterback.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Is he out for the season? No, he'll be back.
No, he's out for the season.
I thought they said it would be.
Oh, he's on the
10.
He's designated IR designated for return.
Right.
So he'll be back in like week 12 or something like that.
8 to 10 weeks. That's what
but
he said.
Even if he didn't get injured, I was committed on dropping him.
Oh, okay.
Because I was fucking tired of his charade.
And by the time he gets to week 12, it'll all be coming off the rails anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
I mean, if I'm still in it by then and I feel like Tony Romo will give me something, then maybe I'll think about picking him back up. But
yeah, no.
Right now, I don't really care.
No.
I'm hoping for a resurgence from Ryan Tannehill, but it's all right.
I got a quarterback. If you need a quarterback,
I got some good depth.
Do you?
I'm trying to make a trade.
Do you?
Yeah.
I'm looking for a running back. Any good running backs?
I have many good running backs. I have 5 good running backs.
Yes, you do.
5 running backs capable of starting for any team in this league.
Here's the
except
problem.
for Rachel's, who's got Fortan Lynch.
I do love that you helped her draft, and she got like the king of all. Well, no, the Joker of all teams.
I was admiring the work that I did on her team.
Yeah,
just the other day, I was just like, oh god, that's such a good squad. God, how did I do so well on hers and do so? Oh, speaking of fantasy, just because people aren't listening anymore, anyways.
Right?
It's just between us.
When you say Rachel and speaking of fantasy, I'm not sure it's appropriate for our younger viewers.
Well, we've already done way too much to not be appropriate for our younger listeners.
Fair enough.
I am very sad to report that the King of King teams, my fantasy baseball team this year, Let's Get Buck Wild,
yes,
did not make it to the championship round.
Now, let me ask you. Coming into the playoffs,
yeah,
you got the first week bye.
Right.
Because how far were you up on your next closest competitor?
Like 12 games or something like that.
12 games up.
Yeah.
But the cruelty of fantasy playoffs are it's win or die.
Yeah. One week.
Yeah, that's it.
And it was, and
you know what? Players get sat.
It was super close too.
Yeah.
Like literally, I was watching Sunday Night Baseball because I had Schwarber and Marte on my team, and he had McCutchen on his. And I was just like, all right, if anybody hits a home run in this game, I win.
Right.
If people do nothing, then I lose. Because it was that close.
Yeah.
Like, the difference was that much. So it's just like hoping that like Marte would just like take one deep or Schwarber or something like that.
Arrieta pitches a perfect game.
Yeah, I'm just God damn it. And then they like took out Schwarber in like the 7th for a defensive replacement. And I'm just like, all right, Marte, you're my only hope. And then Marte comes up. It's bottom of the 9th or top of the 9th, 2 outs. Marte comes to the plate. I'm just like, just one home run, please. You've been so good all season. Just one home run will win this for me.
Pulls a Flaherty.
No, and then he has like a really nice cut, and the ball launches off, and I'm just like, and like. I just see it like shallow fly pop to right, and I'm just like, oh god,
season over.
No, but I'll have to send you a screenshot of my team.
Yeah, it was an excellent team.
You put it in the video. Oh man, it was loaded.
Yeah, I
had people on the bench who were like
getting choked out by their pitcher.
No,
okay.
I didn't have Harper. I thought about getting Harper, but
Meh. Yeah. Do you know their new handshake? Have you seen their new handshake?
No, they've been doing that all year.
What, the choke?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, I'll put this in the show notes too for anybody who's interested. There was a article in the Washington Post about when Matt Williams lost the team, when he lost the clubhouse.
Right.
And it's such a compelling read. It's a It's a bit long, but it's a good read.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of more playoff action, sorry to report, but while we were waiting, because it happened on Saturday, the day after we recorded,
right?
The Orioles were statistically eliminated from the playoffs, and then we took our.
It was actually Monday.
Was it Monday? I thought it was Saturday.
No, it happened because the game that got rained out.
Right.
It happened without us playing.
That's sad. But we got to be spoilers. I guess we have spoilers for somebody, but did well against the Jays.
Well, I mean, if we sweep the Yankees,
shake up the picture,
and the Astros go 3-0 in the last 3 games, then they could be hosting a playoff game.
Right, make the Yankees go on the road.
Yeah,
so that's a good thing.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, so we enjoy being spoilers. But and here's something you said at the game, and I took it to heart. A couple of years ago. Actually, maybe I said it. I think I did say it. A couple of years ago, we were statistically eliminated like mid to late August. So the fact that the last week of the season we were in it is such an improvement.
You did not say that.
Did you say that?
I said that. Okay, I said it on the podcast last week.
Oh, well, whatever.
In fact, if you go to SoundCloud and look for Oh, the Anthem, you'll find it as one of the clips.
And so you can find us on SoundCloud. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so I don't know if we've talked on the podcast about SoundCloud. I think I just posted on the thing.
On Twitter, right?
On the website and on Twitter and stuff like that. And Facebook.
And Facebook. Where you can follow Oh, the Anthem.
So, if you don't like any of those social media and you like SoundCloud, like that's exclusively where you go.
Right.
You can go to SoundCloud and just find the little clips. Like we break down into little shareable clips, little funnies that you can give to your friends.
Feel free to share with your friends on other social media networks.
Right. On 4chan or something like that.
Right. Well, and so like the best thing though is that we were in it. Maybe it was EP who pointed out that we seem to do every other year seems to go really well. Yeah. So 12 we made it, 13 we didn't, 14 we did, 15 we didn't. So looking forward to next year.
I say
fire Buck and get that World Series.
I say we fire Buck and go to the World Series.
Right, yeah. Let's stop bullshitting around with this.
Don't have to worry about Chris Davis. Don't even worry about it. Just let him go.
Just fire Buck.
That's all. Oh, man, how the city would burn.
Oh, God.
If Duquette was just like, listen, we're not re-signing Davis and Buck is fired, but we're going to the World Series.
We're going to the World Series. Let's be honest. That's happening, yeah. So
people will be like, boo this man.
Well, isn't he leaving? Isn't Dan leaving?
No.
Isn't he going to the Jays?
No.
I thought that was happening.
No, not now that the Jays have gone to the playoffs.
Like, yeah. Guess they don't need him.
Yeah. They did it without him.
Can we just fire him then for even talking to another team? I'm like a crazy girlfriend. Yeah. You talk to another team, you're done.
I'm going to cut your dick off.
Way to keep it PG for years. Oh, God.
I forget.
Yes, well, it's a medium without any constraints. So you have
internet.
Because internet, that's right.
All right.
Jesus Christ.
No, but going back to the Ravens just real quick before we move on. Because we went on an epic
little tangent there,
terrible defense.
Yes.
Unsatisfying offense.
Yeah.
Horrible coaching. Completely undisciplined play. Like, I really don't know what... Like, this team is just infuriating.
This was a team that was picked by Sports Illustrated to win the Super Bowl.
Win the World Series.
Yeah, win the World Series. They have a better chance at this point. So, but to win the World Series, or God damn it, to win the Super Bowl, and this is where we are.
Yeah,
1-3. I mean, we could win out. Sure. To be fair, we did do very well in the 3 losses, but.
Well, no,
score-wise, I mean,
we lost each one of those games in the second half.
Yeah,
which is not the
mistakes.
Ravens' deal.
And
the Ravens, usually what happens is we're losing by 3 going into halftime.
Right.
And then I say to my dad, like, hey, don't worry.
Second half team.
Yeah. We've always been a second half team. Not this year.
No.
This year is just terrible all the time.
And the penalties. The penalties are killing
That's
us.
what I'm talking about with the undisciplined part.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Jesus.
just, ugh.
Ridiculous. But hope springs eternal. Fans to the end.
And then one other thing, because I'm switching back and forth now because we're talking sports. MLB playoffs.
Yes.
What are you thinking?
I don't even know. I mean, we do this. I guess we do this thing where we pick a new team since the Royals are out, and I'm going with the Cubs just because.
Oh, I'm going with the Cubs.
Well, hey, but going with the Cubs just
go
because.
Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go!
Let's see. I don't know.
Hey, Chicago, what do you say? Cubs are gonna win today.
This year. But no. In 2004, when the Orioles got eliminated, which might have been the year we were eliminated in August. I don't know. But I started cheering for Boston. Not the Boston team you know now.
Yeah, not the annoying ones.
No, the Boston team from 2004 that was humble and really wanted a World Series. And now we have the Cubs. And one part of it is you haven't won in 80... Oh, no, more than that now. Yeah, way more than that now.
100 and...
1906, 1914?
1908.
1908.
So 107 years.
Yeah, 107 years without a World Series. That's one thing. And two... Because I think Robert Zemeckis is a witch.
I think I'm gonna go see The Walk this weekend. By the way,
did you hear about people throwing up during the movie?
I've heard. I think you were telling me about that.
Yeah, getting vertigo because the way the camera spins around him at that height, it's giving people vertigo and they're puking in the theater. But no, I'm gonna go. Well, I'm gonna go see The Martian this weekend, not The Walk, because Matt Damon, beautiful man on a planet by himself.
Did he find the water? Was he the one who found the water?
Somebody said that NASA said last Wednesday, we have a major announcement, and we're going to give it to you on Monday. And then I heard somebody say, how much did Fox pay them to hold off on the announcement until the week the movie came out? But the kind of concept of the movie, though, is that there's no water there.
If it paid for a space shuttle, then I think I'm okay with it.
Well, no, you're not. You hate the space shuttle.
Yeah, but if Fox is paying for it, I don't give a shit.
Okay, so NASA can waste somebody else's money
as long as it's not my taxpayer money.
Gotcha. Okay, but no,
just like I don't want that Planned Parenthood spending any of my tax money on abortions.
Yeah, it doesn't though. So
no.
But no, The Walk.
Well, I've been put in my place.
For those of you,
it's like the guy with the graph. Did you see that one?
No.
Oh God. So. The director of Planned Parenthood was called up to the Hill to be scolded by Congress.
Yeah, I did see that.
And the guy who was leading the...
Scolding?
No, like, he was the head of the committee.
Oh, okay, yeah.
At one point he goes like, all right, now I want you to look at this slide over here. And they show her, like trying to see the slide that's, like, all the way away from her. And she's like, what is this? And he's like... This is a decrease in the number of mammograms and an increase in the number of abortions. And the slide had it was like an X.
Like two lines crossing each other?
Yeah.
Line graph, yeah.
But it didn't have a Y-axis.
So we had no idea what it was?
Yeah. And actually the numbers didn't match up.
Right.
Like the big number... Like it was really... Like if you did it with an actual Y-axis, it was just like... Abortions remain the same all the way down at the bottom, and mammograms rose.
Okay.
It's like
so they took a portion of that graph. Yeah.
And like she was just like, "Where did you get these numbers?" And he's like, "We got them from your website, your filings."
Yeah.
She's just like, and like some guy like whispered in her ear, "It's like that's not from there."
Right.
She's like, "Oh, actually, I've just been told this is from People Against Dead Babies, an abortion group."
Right. Yeah.
So you might want to check those numbers. And the guy was just like, all right, well, I'm going to yield the rest of my time to...
Right, yeah. Oh, God. Well, and
I'm going to yield 7 minutes to Elijah Cummings. It's just like, I thought it was 8. And it's just like, just fucking take it. I look like an idiot right now.
She got beat up about a bunch of bullshit. Like, why do you get paid so much? And a lot of stuff that didn't really matter.
Yeah, nobody asks Bill Gates why he gets paid so much.
Nope. And by the way, none of her pay
I think we all
comes
just
from federal funding.
I think we just know why people get paid a lot when they're at the top of a position.
Oligarchy?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Yeah. Anyway, so you're going to go see The Walk. And for those of people who don't know...
I'm going to see Steve Jobs when that comes out.
Right. For those who don't know, there's a YouTube video, and if you can find it, put it in the show notes, that says that Robert Zemeckis in Back to the Future actually...
Oh, the crazy conspiracy video?
Yeah, predicted the future. That in 2015... when Michael J. Fox goes into the future, there's a movie playing in the background that has the Twin Towers on it. And that made no sense to anybody because the towers fell until, the same time this movie comes out.
Yeah.
So it's really weird. It's one of those videos where you're like, I know this isn't true, but like that's funny. Like that's a weird coincidence.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I said. I was just like, this is a total crackpot theory, but I love it.
Yes, absolutely right. And if for those who don't know, in Back to the Future, they also predict the Cubs win the World Series
over the Miami Gators.
But you know, you can't get everything right.
Yeah.
You know, but I still think Robert Zemeckis is a witch. That's what it comes down to. So if the Cubs win, I think we have to burn him at the stake. I think that's what we have to do.
We have to dump him in water and see if he floats. And if he floats, he's a witch.
If he sinks, well, God bless his soul. Yeah. Yeah, so...
No, but I was saying this to you earlier. I think the MLB playoffs this year is very compelling because it's got a lot of new teams, which I like.
Yeah.
Assuming that it stands the way it is right now, Friday when we're recording.
Right.
You know, Houston will be in.
Nobody thought they were getting in.
Texas Rangers will be in.
Nobody thought they were getting in.
Blue Jays will be in.
Definitely didn't think that.
Everyone thought the Royals would fall, but yet the Royals have tied for the best record in the American League.
And again, the Royals who, before last year, hadn't been there for a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that too. But then they were.
And then, I mean, the National League is, you know, there's a lot of the same
Nationals,
same
right? Nationals are...
Nope.
Oh,
no, Mets.
Oh, Mets. Yeah, who saw that coming?
Didn't I call that?
I think you did say the Mets were going to... We have to go back to that episode.
We'll have to go to the tape.
Yeah, go to the tape. Well, we're going to pause here and let you go check it out. Nope, turns out Corey was wrong. Sorry.
Oh, damn it.
I just assume. I don't know.
Why? Why so many times?
But no, it's an interesting playoff picture.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but like I said, I go with luck and Robert Zemeckis. That's where my policy is.
You know, I also like that pretty much every single stadium that's being played in the postseason is a good place to like watch baseball.
Ugh, have you been? I mean, well, not.
Well, I guess not. I don't really care for Skydome.
Well, I was going to say I don't like Kansas City.
I like Kauffman Stadium.
It's a big fucking stadium.
Yeah,
that was part of our problem last year, as we kept knocking long fly balls that would fall into the track.
Yeah,
damn it. It's a lot of ground to cover.
It's a good looking stadium, though.
Yeah, but they have the advantage of being at home. The home field advantage is really big there because they're used to that stadium.
Yeah, so. And they got the speed and the defense, and
so
yeah.
And we'll see what happens. So we'll keep you updated. Obviously, the AL wildcard game is tonight as you're listening to this.
Yeah, if you're listening on the day it comes out, which really...
Of course you are.
You should be.
Wednesday is the NL wildcard, and then the ALCS starts Friday?
ALDS starts
ALDS starts... Is it Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, Thursday.
Oh, well, there you go. And so playoffs all weekend. So tune in. Hopefully the... well, I mean, who are you calling in the wildcard games?
Oh... If it's...
Oh, I guess we don't even know who the wild card are set, right?
Well, I mean we know the NL wild card.
Okay.
It's going to be Pittsburgh and Chicago. I'll give it to the Cubs, I guess.
Hoping for the World Series. Yeah. Right.
And not only that, but if you're starting like Leicester or Arrieta in a wild card game, like that's a tough row to hoe.
Yeah.
The AL would be tough because it's either going to be the Yankees versus either the Astros, the Angels, or the Twins.
Right. And
something tells me that if it's the Astros or the Angels, they have a chance against the Yankees.
Right.
If it's the Twins, I don't give them.
Right.
I just don't think that team's there yet. They're a good young team, but they're not quite good enough yet. You know.
And you have to go into Yankee Stadium to play, unless Baltimore sweeps games that may or may not be played.
Yeah, but that only matters for the Astros.
Oh, I thought it was for both for two the other teams.
No. If the Astros sweep and we sweep, then I think it would be played in Houston.
Otherwise, it's going to be played in New York.
Right.
So it's tough to go into New York and play anyway. We've been there during those games. So.
You get
playoff baseball when the rich people start to care.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd really like to see Trout have a good run in a playoff at some point. He's such a good player. Like,
put him in the World Series with the Cubs and see what happens.
Did you see that catch?
I've seen every catch this season. It's like he's on the ESPN top 10 every week. So,
all right,
yeah.
Well, moving on
to another witch.
No, to the Baltimore Corner.
Oh,
where you get the straight dope.
So trademarked Baltimore Corner.
Yeah.
Did you like that on the picture? Do you know how much work I had to do to find the trademark symbol, by the way? I don't have it on mine, so I had to have Colin text it to me so I could then put it on my Instagram post.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it took a lot of work. It was a lot of work to do. But nonetheless. So, Baltimore Corner, where you get the straight dope. A lot of good things happening in Baltimore. This week was a kind of a week of good things rather than bad things.
And some discouraging things.
Well, depending on how you look at it, I guess.
Well, I guess there's 2 things that really peaked.
Right.
Well, there's 3 things, I guess.
Well, go ahead. Jump in where you want.
Number 1, there's they unveiled plans for the redevelopment of Harbor Place.
Right.
Make it look a lot more modern, sort of take out the overhangs and the balconies and stuff like that. And it'll have 2 different sort of feels, like on the street side and the harbor side.
Right. And we lived downtown for a while, and I got to say that it was not the most visually appealing place, but they also kind of had a monopoly down there. So.
It hasn't changed since it opened.
Yeah.
And I think it looks good. I mean, like, I like a nice, clean, modern design, and I think that one fits well with the city.
Will the change of view make you go there more often, though?
Not really. I mean,
I think they got to do something to get people. Maybe the nicer look gets better places in there.
But I will say this: like, unlike most tourist traps,
mm-hmm.
I enjoy that one more than I enjoy. Like, if I lived in New York,
right,
I'd avoid Times Square or the Statue of Liberty like the plague.
Yeah.
Be like, why the fuck am I going to Times Square?
Well, that's what a lot of lifetime New Yorkers.
Like,
have
what's
never
the
been
point?
to Liberty.
You know?
Yeah.
But like the Inner Harbor, I'll go every so often just cause, you know.
Yeah.
And like, it's nice to, like, I don't know, go to Cheesecake Factory and sit and look at the water and, you know.
And I think we skipped it last week, but McKeldin's getting changed too. So
yeah, they're taking down the statue and
right, but the statue.
Well, the abomination.
The abomination of a waterfall that sometimes doesn't have water in it. That didn't when Occupy was there. They turned the water off so that people couldn't bathe in the fountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was that.
I liked when Occupy was down there. I thought that was a fun little
experiment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I was
Fun
there
little
all
moment
the
in
time.
history.
God, I was there all the time. I almost took over that place. I got ousted.
Yeah.
So, yeah, uninvited from Occupy. When have you reached a low? It's when you get kicked out of the
free movement.
The free movement, yeah. Asked not to return. But no, with McKeldin changing and with those changes, I think Inner Harbor is going to look totally different in 20... Well, the pictures also showed blue, clear water.
Yeah,
so that's a big change.
So that's in a million years.
That's when they wall off the actual Inner Harbor, take out the water, and they just fill it with pool water. That's what they do.
They just... What they do is they take out all the water that's currently there.
Yeah.
And then they build a big dam to keep it from coming in. And then just literally install a pool.
Yeah. It's going to be a big pool. And it'll be swimmable and fishable. Can't use chlorine because it'll kill the fish. But...
Right.
That's got to be somebody's... So, Baltimore mayor candidates, right here. We got good ideas. Dam off the Inner Harbor. Make it a big pool.
Yeah. Don't even... Who needs real water?
Right.
I guess is the point.
Well, we need real water, but not seawater.
Yeah, I mean, like, we don't need it there.
No.
And honest to God, even if you did get rid of all the water and replace it with a pool, still wouldn't swim in it. I wouldn't even...
How many bodies are going to be found at the bottom of it when they drain it?
There's just some guy on the side, like, skimming the bodies.
Right. Bring the water wheel over.
The water wheel just start going through like an old-time Mark Twain ferry.
Right.
Just picking up bodies.
Let it loose. But no, so it'll be... hopefully it'll be a big change. It'll look nice and, not that I'll go there that much often, but... When I am there, I'll enjoy it.
Somewhere I will go, though, is where they're going to build the Statue of Divine.
Oh, yeah?
I'd like that.
It's,
I mean, we already have a statue of Frank Zappa. So,
right. Yeah.
You know, we might as well just go all out. Let that freak flag fly.
Where are they going to build it?
I have no idea. I couldn't even actually find the story you were talking about.
Oh, yeah. Well, so it's a statue of Divine, but I don't know if it's a statue of Divine. I think it's going to be a some sort of art piece involving John Waters. So it might not be specifically Divine. I think it's going to be maybe if a mural makes more sense, but I thought they said statue. But it'll be artwork of some kind.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm just watching.
Are you staring at yourself?
No. So apologies to people who are watching the video and are getting sick looking at me. No, but like it's getting dark, and then like when I lean forward, it's getting super light. I think that's the deal. Like wherever I'm positioned is like causing the whatever. We'll leave this all in because that's the Anthem style. It's gonna be very fucking difficult.
Yeah,
Shit,
that'll be
that's
fun.
all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I just wonder if that statue will be of Divine eating dog shit.
I hope not.
That would be lovely.
Very Baltimore thing to do.
That would be lovely. You could make a little fence around. You know how like some statues have like a fenced area around it? Just make it out of pink flamingos.
Make it a dog park with pink flamingos in it.
Ooh.
Listen, mayoral candidates.
Mayoral candidates. Why are we even...
How could you not... I mean, look at all the good ideas we have. If I lived here, I'd run.
We didn't steal from you. We didn't let the city burn.
Oh, are we voting for Mr. Black? Is that what we're doing?
I don't know. I have to assume he's a Republican because he didn't put a political party on his website.
So, of course he's a Republican. But on top of that, also... What is it, Roy? Roy Black? Can't remember.
Rick Black?
Rick Black?
I don't know.
But, unknown. I have no idea who this guy is. But apparently he's paying a homeless guy to...
No, it's a friend of his.
Oh, is it? Yeah. I thought it was a homeless guy. Again, Baltimore. Whatever. I'm making assumptions, I guess. But he's shouting, vote for Rick Black. I think it is Rick Black.
Yeah.
On the corner of Pratt and...
Calvert
Street.
Yeah.
So...
basically saying, he didn't steal from you. So that's why he's better than other candidates.
And that's where Baltimore politics have come.
Oh, speaking of the shady dealings of the inner city.
Yeah.
As you may have heard, after something happened in the city between the police and the citizens. I mean, I don't remember the specifics. I just know something happened.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Right.
Something happened. But anyway, the police are getting body cameras now.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Wait, weren't they supposed to get those last year?
Yeah, but, budget.
Right. And I think the mayor is the one who deleted that out of the budget.
Well, so here's the thing: we had a speed camera program,
right?
That cost the city a lot of money,
right? It did a great job.
No, we had to shut it down.
Oh, why is that?
Because they were like shooting off tickets to people who were like parked at red lights and telling people they were going like 70 miles an hour through 30-mile zones when they were going like 25 miles an hour.
Right, yeah.
And there was no accountability.
Wait. There's a Baltimore program that has massive corruption.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like this city at all.
I know. Brace yourself. This story gets better.
Okay.
So, yeah, basically the city got stuck in this contract and had to pay a shit ton of money to get out of it.
Right.
At the failure of the company that provided the cameras to the city.
Seems legitimate, yeah.
Anyway, on a completely unrelated note, that same company is now doing the body cameras for the police department.
I'm sure it'll work perfectly.
Because I guess the company is owned by Rawlings Blake's brother or something like that. That's the only reason I can assume.
No, that can't be true. That level of corruption is just impossible.
Wait a minute. Hold on. No, actually, it makes perfect sense.
It does actually make sense, yeah.
I don't think it's her brother, but
I think they probably made that deal while they were
cousins
watching Scandal on the on the old
listening
DVR.
to The Voice,
right? Well, The Voice is over, so now they're moving into Scandal.
I don't know what's on TV.
Well, Scandal's on now. I don't actually watch Scandal.
Isn't Empire on?
Empire is on, which you should watch Empire.
That seems like a Rawlings Blake kind of.
Oh, no.
The intrigue, the politics.
Too much class for her. But you should be watching Empire, though.
All right, fine. I'll catch up on
it. Did you watch the first season?
No.
Okay, start from there. You're not going to understand.
Oh, don't just pick up on the second season and hope that I get it.
Got to know where you're coming from. But it's so good.
I do want to see Heroes. I know that. Yeah. No.
Here's what I say. What would you expect Heroes Reborn to be?
Just like Heroes the first time?
And there you go.
All right,
so that's what it is.
Just with new people?
And some of the powers don't make sense. It's a big jumbled mess.
I can guess what Starburst is in here before I open the wrapper.
There's some cool ones. There's a guy who can like teleport things and people, and that's fun. But then there's a girl who like gets dropped into one particular video game, but only when she has a certain sword. So like if she opens a sword, she gets transported into the game. When she closes it, she comes out. Like that seems like a power that's not really helpful.
Real quick, before we leave the Baltimore corner.
Yeah.
What would be your superpower?
Well, a younger me would have said invisibility.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, obvious reasons.
You want to be like Mike Huckabee in the women's shower.
Yes, that's exactly right. I think that at this point in my life, when I wake up in pain every morning, I think Wolverine. The healing ability.
Right.
Just so I could do the same dumb shit I used to do, but not feel it the next day. That would be nice. That would be very nice. And
it would make any moment that you said, hold my beer and watch this, a lot better.
Epic. Yeah. The immortality, which is really what he has, but with the healing factor.
Right.
That's the best thing, where you're just like, man, fuck it. Let's see what happens. Like, just do it and we'll see what happens. No claws, though. Because I feel like I'd get really pissed off and use those, and then I'd spend... They're like, well, you were sentenced to 400 years in jail, and you're like, well, fuck.
Having sex with some gal, and it's just like, oh, God, no! This always happens!
Now I have to hide a body. How far is the harbor from here?
Oh, man, I'm going to have to dice this up in a... Oh, wait a minute.
And we've taken a dark turn.
So dark.
So dark. What would your superpower be?
I always like the idea of like having super speed,
like the Flash.
Yeah, I think that would be a fun one.
Yeah, I guess it could be,
especially if you could like sort of like wane it in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I could just like I don't have to constantly be going like 1,000 miles an hour.
Like you could be able to walk.
Yeah, like I could walk and then I could like run and I could just sort of like judge like you know like how you run now. Like I can run anywhere between 0 and 6.5 miles an hour at full sprint.
I don't know about
that. But like, you know, like on my basic like, you know, like my cruising speed at 2. Like 4.
2.
My little like my chugging speed.
Right, yeah.
You know, like I just don't try as hard.
Right.
And then I'm there. But if I'm really like balls to the wall maxing out, like 6.5 miles an hour, like chugging my arms and having my knees hit my chest, hypothetically.
How long could you run at 6 miles an hour?
I don't know. Until I needed a cigarette. How long's that?
Not very far. 100-yard dash style.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Oh god.
Though I used to run like you know pretty consistently during our old basketball days.
Yeah. The old basketball days. How'd all that running work out for you?
I won games.
How many games did you win?
Some.
How many is some?
Listen, I don't need to get into the details.
Would it be...
The competition I'm currently concerned about is the one where I beat you in fantasy football this week.
Right, yeah. So that's not going to happen either. I'm going to beat you just as badly as I did in basketball, which was greater than 1,000 games to less than 10 games.
All right, we'll see about that.
The epic challenge continues.
We'll see how Arian Foster does this weekend and crushing your hopes and dreams.
You're great at fantasy sports, not so great at real sports. We all got to have our niche. I understand.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Sure. You couldn't handle it. It's okay.
Anyway, moving on.
From one person who lives in a fantasy world to another, Kim Davis is in the news again.
Oh, I love the intrigue.
Oh, shoot. So, for those of you who don't know, there was 2 big announcements by Kim Davis's people in the last 2 weeks. The first one was that there was a Peruvian prayer circle with thousands of people that was for her. Turns out not so true.
Right.
And then they announced that, hey, the Pope had a meeting with her, one-on-one, very intimate, to show his support. And then the Vatican's like, well, not exactly true.
Well, first the Vatican was just like, listen, we're not confirming or denying.
Right.
And then people are just like, oh, so she met.
Well, no, then her people were like, that's their way of saying that we met, and they can't do it. So then they were like, well, all right, we got to shut this shit down. And turns out that she did meet with him. Not one-on-one. And very much a receiving line, basically.
Yeah, she met with the Pope immediately after he met with a gay couple that he knew from Argentina.
Right, yeah. So and basically, I think...
Take that for what it's worth.
I think the tone of everything was just like, listen, he meets a lot of people, and he doesn't support her.
Right.
He supports what he says he supports.
Yeah.
And he meets with people who may not be on that level.
Right.
You know, I'm sure he would meet with the Dalai Lama. if it was possible. But that's not him saying, like, all right, everybody convert to Buddhism.
Just because McKinley shook the hand of the guy who shot him doesn't mean that he supported what he was doing.
Right. Exactly right. But Kim Davis is making it a big deal, and I think you were telling me about the little bit of backdoor intrigue involved.
Yeah, so this is fun. The guy who set this all up, whose name I'm not even going to begin to try and pronounce.
Cardinal.
His name is Cardinal.
Good job.
Anywho.
Good job.
He was apparently he's an old school Catholic type.
Yeah.
So he's a Benedictus guy.
That's what happens when you have 2 living popes.
And he's not too...
You should kill Benedictus.
He's not too happy with this new liberal pope.
Right, of course not.
With his climate change and his acceptance and his...
Blasphemy.
Yeah. So he basically kind of set this meeting up to kind of fuck with the new pope. And, you know, he maybe gets to call in a little favor and...
Right, yeah.
Get Kim Davis in there and start a new thing.
Well, and so it's the
But
aspect...
we talked about last week when we were discussing the Pope that there's not a lot of he's the man. He can't be voted out of office. He can't. He's in there.
Apparently, you can retire, although that was not done before.
Right.
So yeah.
But he's basically he can't be kicked out of office. So he's the Pope.
Right.
But what people can do, and like the bishops and cardinals and stuff like that, is just fuck with you, which is what this was.
Right. Set him up to fail, and then announce to a very pro-religious website that she had a meeting with him.
Right.
Which now is trying to build
also,
the association.
all the levels of which this happened was kind of like... So what they did was she met with him at a receiving line, basically, in D.C., and then nobody brought it up until he was about to get on the plane in Philadelphia to go back to the Vatican. And a reporter fed him a question that didn't mention Kim Davis specifically, but said, what do you think about the idea of somebody being told to do a job that's against their religious beliefs?
Right.
And he answered the question like, well, I think that, people should be allowed to stand by their religious beliefs and not have it affect their work. But, like a very canned answer. Duty
to God is highest, and that you should be able to work freely while having that belief.
Not anything specifically about Kim Davis whatsoever. No. And then, and then as soon as he was on the plane, that's when the so Kim Davis met the Pope came out.
Right.
And here's a quote from the Pope.
Taken out of context.
Yeah, and apparently when he met Kim Davis, he said, we believe in you, we're standing with you, be strong.
Apparently not true.
Yeah, apparently none of that stuff was said.
But it had legs because he was on a 15-hour flight back to the Vatican.
Right.
And so
it's not like the Vatican was going to spend time disputing, like... The Vatican can't just, like... They don't have time.
Well, they're billion Catholics in the world. So.
Right, and it's just like the White House. Like, the White House doesn't... During the press briefings, they don't ask about everything. Right. They only ask about the things that are really, like...
Right.
If I said Barack Obama's a dick, it's not like, some guy at the press conference, or the press briefing is going to be like, Cory from the Anthem podcast called Barack Obama a dick. Do you care to comment on that? Be like, who?
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 The best revenge.
Or you'd be like, Cory said that?
Cory. I listen to those guys every Tuesday at otheanthem.com.
Cory at otheanthem.com.
So
I'm going to have to leave him a voicemail at 443-219-7595.
I'm sorry, what was that number again?
443-219-7595. This press conference is over.
What happens when Cory breaks into the press briefing? What did you say? Yes, we did hear the comments about that Cory guy from O The Anthem. And let me tell you, I'm going to leave him a strongly worded voicemail.
Or I may even tweet him at O The Anthem on Twitter.
And then the actual press guy comes in and you're like, ooh, okay. And then get out of there. Have a good day, everybody. This press conference is over. Katie, hit the thing.
I would love it if just once, like, the press secretary just, like, kicked the podium down and says, like, Who's the press secretary now? Do you remember his name?
No. Random white guy.
Yeah. That's so name. Random white guy's just like, random white guy out, and just kicks the podium like, this is Sparta. Like,
if you knew it was your last day, I would totally do that. Maybe that's why they don't announce it. They're like, yeah, he's gone. I'm the new guy. My first rule of business is to announce that he's no longer going to be here. So,
where'd CJ Craig go? She was the best. Toby, you suck.
Craig. So, just before we get out of here, I do want to touch on a somber note.
Yeah.
From this week, a community college that I can't pronounce in Oregon.
We tried.
We looked for the pronunciation. I think everybody's scared to pronounce it because nobody has a pronunciation. But I imagine that people in Oregon, maybe it's an Oregonian word.
Ukazoo?
No.
Okay, whatever.
UMPQUOA or QUA.
I don't want to make light of their tragedy.
But
by mispronouncing the name of their town.
For those of you who may not know, on Thursday, a student at the school came into his classroom, and apparently, depending on who you ask, the number keeps changing. But what I saw was at least 10 dead and at least 20 wounded. So some reports are coming out from some of the people who were going into surgery or whatever's going on there that, sadly, while people were cowering and hiding, he basically called out Christians and said, hey, if you're a Christian, stand up. And, if you're brave enough, whatever. So after people stood up, he said something along the lines of, well, good, because you're about to meet God, and then shot all of them. Tragic on a lot of levels. First level is that people lost their lives unnecessarily.
Right.
On the second level, it's that he, for whatever reason, focused on Christians, even though he was a Christian. But I feel like, I think a lot of these guys do this because they hope they're remembered. And apparently he had 13 guns and body armor, and he was ready for a shootout, and then they just got him quickly before he was ready for it. So maybe he was hoping he'd go down in history or something, but an unbelievable amount of death focused on religion at a time when that is possibly the worst thing that could happen.
Right.
Let's focus on religion again. So now we have this double duty of religion and guns and things coming up. I remember, if you want to go back to our episode about Newtown, I think it was Newtown, where we said that I still believe that the bigger issue here is a mental health problem that wasn't addressed. And I am pro Second Amendment, but I am also about smart gun control. Smart gun control being, if you're crazy, you should not be able to have a gun.
Well,
actually, it wasn't Newtown. It was the dude in Virginia a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Where we said, listen, it's all about how do we do this, not what do you do necessarily.
Well, I mean, I first of all, I'm tired of having these conversations.
And President agrees with you.
Yeah, and his press conference was very sobering.
Yeah.
To watch. Just, I'm not the type who wants to take people's guns away.
I feel like you are, though.
I don't care for guns.
Right.
Personally.
Mm-hmm.
Again, these are all things I've said before. Right.
Been here again.
Every 2.5 weeks, we have to talk about a shooting on the podcast.
145 shootings this year. Not murders, because there's a lot more than those.
Yeah, Baltimore's had that alone.
Yeah, 145 organized, civilian shoots, where somebody who goes into a classroom or a church or something else and shoots it up. And 145 in 200 and some days.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I just... Clearly something needs to be done.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what it is exactly, but maybe it's just, they have, the, you can report somebody.
If you see something, say something?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah.
Maybe the idea is, if there's somebody that you feel so concerned about that you think they might be, dangerous to have a gun.
Yeah.
Then maybe just there's a line you can call and say, like, listen, I don't... Rob Cheek shouldn't own a gun.
I would definitely get called for that line.
Yeah. But, like, Rob Cheek shouldn't own a gun. Rob Cheek of, Denton shouldn't own a gun. And then they can just add your name to a list.
Right.
And then when you go to get a gun, it's not the usual process.
Well, and here's what
they don't go through, like, the normal, like, 5-day or whatever it is.
5 days, 7 day, depending on what you're buying.
Right.
3 day, 5 day, 7 day.
Yeah, but I mean, like, just, like, for you, you've been called.
Yeah.
You've been flagged in the system. So, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait an extra 2 weeks while we do the super secret
and
awesome background check.
How much interference is that? I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with background checks because I say gun today or gun in 2 weeks. What's the difference?
Right.
Really?
I mean, like, if you need the gun...
What
do you need the gun today for?
Yeah, then it's a reason that you shouldn't have a gun.
Right.
That's the thing. If I need it today, there's a reason I shouldn't have it. Now, there are exceptions, I would say, but,
You know what? I hear the people say, like, whoa, self-defense, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, well, if... And talk about illegal guns, too. I think that's the one that really bugs me.
Illegal guns?
Yeah, the people who are just like, like, oh, if we make guns illegal, then people won't be able to get them. Like, well, people will get illegal guns. Like,
yeah.
Sure, valid argument.
Mm-hmm.
But, so many of these shootings have been from people who got the guns legally.
Right. That's the problem we need to address.
I understand that, if somebody really wants a fucking gun, they'll be able to get it.
Yep.
If you ban the guns, there's still going to be people who get them.
Yeah.
And having things like, you can't carry and there's no open carry in church or no open carry in this restaurant or blah,
right.
blah, blah, blah. Like, none of those things really matter to me. Like
gun-free zones.
Yeah, like, and if you're a criminal, you're a criminal and you're going to do it regardless. Right. You're going to shoot up wherever you're not supposed to have a gun, like, always, everywhere.
Yeah.
But there's people who do it and,
Well, and so here's what I'm going to say.
I think that the very first place we can start is just make it harder to get a gun legally just by having to follow a couple processes. Just
how about this? I talked about it last week. I'm driving for Uber now. So if you live on the Eastern Shore, Uber's available, and I'll be driving for them hopefully this weekend. But the background check to do that took 8 days.
Yeah.
How about let's make it more difficult to get a gun than to drive for Uber?
Right.
How about that? You know what I mean? Like, there were some complications and things popped up, but they did a background check. That's what it's for. If I walked into Walmart today, I could get a long gun today with no background check. They do a background check, but they give you the gun while they're doing the 3-day background check.
Yeah.
And, long guns aren't really what you're going to do mass shootings with because it's not.
But it's still a fucking gun.
It's still a gun. If I wanted to kill my spouse, it's still enough. That's all I need. And when I need a gun today, usually it's because I'm pissed off about something today.
Yeah.
And if you made me wait 7 days, maybe I'd be like, well, yeah, she's a bitch. But
and all the people who are making arguments about well, if there weren't any guns, people would just stab people.
Yeah, and that's true.
I don't care. Like, just write today's problems. Let's deal with these things one at a time.
Right.
Right now, we have a huge problem with people shooting each other.
Yeah.
So how about we try and fix as much as we can this gun problem?
Well, and here's what I'll tell you. I've said all along that the illegal gun problem is defeated by a legal gun program.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean let's start handing them out. It means responsible ownership, taking tests, doing background checks, being shown to be prolific with a handgun before you're given one to take away.
Yeah.
So go take a test. How do you shoot? You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be as good as me. I mean, I'm really good. But you just have to show that you can use the damn thing without shooting your own dick off. How about that?
Yeah.
Did you see that, by the way?
No.
Guy who apparently was always walked around with a gun in his pants and then ended up shooting his own dick off. So, good for you. That's Darwin.
Yeah.
Thank God you can't reproduce now.
Right.
But, show that you know how to use it. Do a background check to show that you're not going to do anything too outstanding. I like the idea of saying, if you get reported, it doesn't block you from getting a gun.
Right.
It means you have to go through a process.
Yeah, it just means you have to go through another step.
Yeah, you've been to some therapy, been to some counseling, another step.
I'm not. If you ask me right now, like, how many people would I call and say they shouldn't own a gun?
Right.
I don't know.
1.
5 people?
Right. Yeah.
Like, come to mind? Like, 5 different people I think shouldn't own a gun.
Right.
Now, I mean, like, there's other people who I don't think are fit to own a gun. Like, it wouldn't be in their best interest to own a gun, but I don't think there's anything wrong with them.
Right. Well, and here's the thing, too.
I just don't think that they'd be like Rachel wouldn't be good with a gun.
Because she's not good with a gun.
Right.
And her having it means that somebody's going to take it from her and use it against her, probably.
Right.
But no, what I'll say is people don't get mental health care because they think it's going to block them from keeping their guns. That is the biggest reversal of the way it should be. Again, seeking mental health care shouldn't stop you from getting a gun. In fact, you should be encouraged to do that before you can buy one.
Yeah.
And I'm all about licensing. I don't like the idea of licensing, but we need to have a give and take here. And I would say licensing where to even purchase any firearms, you have to do a background check and mental health care and that kind of stuff.
I mean, I know it's against the MO.
Yeah.
But I feel like the NRA would be winning themselves a lot of favors if they were in favor of just a little bit more regulation in a way that made sense.
Well, but here's the problem.
Not in a, like, let's take guns away from people kind of thing.
Right.
But, like, I think we can agree that, like, when the waiting period was introduced, it was a good thing for gun ownership.
Here's what I'll tell you about the NRA. That they have a policy of line in the sand now, because every time that they have supported positive moves, people on the very far left have then said, well, if you're willing to go this far, we need you to come another mile. If you come a foot, give a mile. Well, so now their policy's been like nothing.
It's so like we don't. It's like we've talked about before with like the smoking.
Yeah.
Like the smokers were like, "Oh, it's okay, we'll go outside," and then it's all of a sudden like, "Move down to the corner or move 25 feet away."
Right.
It's like move in the corner, go in this designated smoking area.
Yeah.
Like,
first, it was go to your own section of the restaurant, and then it was go to the bar.
Yeah.
And then it was go outside. Then it was further away from the door. Then it was a section, only a certain place. But that's
like
what
boarded off area.
The NRA is. That's their policy. Is that if we keep giving, you're going to keep asking. So now we need to say if the cigarette companies had really spent the money in the 80s to say no, mark the areas where we are inside, and then that's it. Then non-smokers shouldn't go there. Then who knows where we would be now? We'd probably still be able to smoke inside. But you would have a big sign on the front door that said, this is a smoking establishment.
Yeah.
But they said, oh, they're not interfering with the smoking. They're just telling you where to do it. So that's okay. We'll go outside. I get the outside thing. Okay, move away from the door. Okay, I get to move away from the door. But it's a slow creep to now in the city of New York. Is there a place you can smoke in the city of New York?
Yeah.
Standing on the island in between streets? That's basically it. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I mean, and
not that you should be smoking. Smoking is bad for your health, and don't do it. And
right, clearly.
That's their justification is a health issue. And now we're getting down to it for the guns, a safety issue.
Right.
Give up more so that people will be safer. And the NRA looks like assholes because they have to say no. But they say no because they know it's a slow creep towards, towards what people have been saying, like Australia. Let's pass a law like in Australia. No personal gun ownership. But,
how has that worked for Australia?
It has reduced violent crime a lot. The problem is, as you aptly put, there's also no illegal guns. There's no illegal guns trade in Australia. I'm sure that there is, but it's not like every other gun in the city of Melbourne is illegal, like the city of Baltimore, where half of the guns in the city of Baltimore were entered the illegal process somehow, and that's how they ended up here. So when you don't have criminals with guns, either you look at the UK, look at Australia, look at Japan. When criminals don't have guns, then you don't have a reason to have citizens who have guns. But in the US, we have criminals who have a lot of guns. And so the citizens should have guns too. What my argument was, they said basically no guns in Australia, and gun deaths went way down. And one of the things that you always hear from people is that the Second Amendment is a check and balance on a tyrannical government. And I said to those people, because I hear that a lot, and part of me believes that yes, we need to be able to.
We
push
already
back.
have a tyrannical government, though.
But why are we not shooting at the government if that's the case? But in the end, what I said was, in Australia they have a parliament. The people can recall parliament at any time. The people can actually call a no-faith vote on Parliament that then everybody goes up for re-election again. And they have they have 11 major parties, 4 of which right now had to form a coalition to get a working government. That's how people stay in power. Because what you say is, if you're not representing, if you can't build a coalition, we can't have a government.
Yeah.
And people commented and were like, well, then you don't have a working government. What do we have right now?
Yeah.
2 parties works just as poorly as not being able to form a coalition. The coalition government assures that a very vast majority of people are having their voices heard, because you have to say 20% of this party, 10% of that party, till we add up 51%, and it's easy enough to do. If we did that here, then I would say that we'd have to stop making that argument. But the system we have now is bought and purchased by rich companies and rich people, 2 parties who are basically the same. It's when somebody made that argument, I had to say, but I need the access to guns, because if someday something happens, I want to have retribution. But right now we have no power at the voting booth, we have no power in the jury room, and increasingly less power under the First Amendment to even say or write something that is on the fringe.
Yeah.
So without that kind of check and balance, we need to have the ammo box as the 4th box, to make sure that we can, in the end, keep control of our own lives. But that being said, I'm also to repeat, I'm not saying that we should hand out guns to everybody.
Yeah.
There are people who should not have them. That gun control is a good thing as long as it's done the right way. And I got to say, the argument is true that drunk drivers kill thousands of people a year, but you don't see people saying, let's make cars illegal, or let's make alcohol illegal.
Right.
Why do people who use guns correctly and possess guns legally get a bad rap when we don't do that about anything else?
Well, I mean, it's good that you brought up drunk drivers.
Yeah.
Because this is another point that I was thinking about. Like, there are laws in Maryland. The one's just passed this October 1st here.
Yeah.
Where it's like the penalties increase greatly if you like, sort of, not a mandatory minimum, but like basically like the expected sentence that you would receive.
Right.
If you
it's
injure
really
somebody,
risk. It's really the risk.
Right.
Yeah.
If you injure somebody and you have a blood alcohol content over a certain amount,
right,
like automatically increases.
Well, yeah. So it used to just be that a DUI was one thing. If it led to an accident, it meant more points, but it didn't mean anything different necessarily for the DUI. Right. So now they're saying if somebody gets injured, your second offense is not the risk of 2 years; it's 5 years. So when it was 2 years, the judge was likely to give you, I mean, honestly, in my experience, 60 to 90 days for a 1 year sentence. 1 year, suspend all but 60, serve 60. When you see that the max is 5 years, the likelihood of you getting more than a year because of that scheme is it's likely to happen.
Yeah.
That the judge looks at the max, gives you the max, and suspends some of it. Well, when there's more to suspend, you're going to still do more time. So, right. In reality, whether or not it'll cut down on that kind of thing, here's the thing: it doesn't. It doesn't. So, but you don't hear people saying, "Let's put breathalyzers in every car," so that if you're over a .08, you can't drive the car. That would be a similar argument to what we are almost agreeing that we do with drugs.
No, but I mean, guns. Like, what we currently do is, like, if you get pulled over on a DUI,
right,
they might put the blower in your car.
Maybe, for a year.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they do it, and, I've known people who've had it. Like,
but,
it's...
Again, the point is this, though. If
just like if
15 people in Baltimore County get pulled over for a DUI... Or do people start saying, put breathalyzers in every car?
No, but I'm saying, like, let's say you own guns. Like, you're perfectly reasonable right now.
Yeah.
But you're starting to get scary.
Okay.
You're starting to worry me as a citizen.
Right.
You haven't done anything wrong.
But
you're really starting to worry me that you might, like, lash out and start shooting people.
Okay.
If I call the anonymous tip line and I say, hey, this Rob guy's really scaring me.
Right.
He has guns. He got them legally, but I'm a little bit worried.
Right.
Then maybe there's a, come in for a check kind of thing,
Well, how about this, though? you and Rachel...
Or your guns become illegal guns if you don't come in for...
But again, we don't use that for anything else. If you and Rachel break up and you start getting depressed and I see you drinking a lot, can I call a line and say he shouldn't be able to drive because I've noticed that he's drinking an awful lot? It's the same thing. It's the risk of breaking the law. It's pre-crime.
Yeah.
So we're bordering on pre-crime where if I notice that you're drinking a lot, should I be able to call somebody and say you need to bring him in and maybe he can't drink, maybe he can't drive?
No, but I mean, there is situations where this sort of thing happens.
With what?
Like mental health.
That's the one thing.
Like if I say Rob's really, I'm worried that Rob might kill himself.
Right.
Then they're going to send a police officer to your house.
Right.
Or a social
hold.
Worker.
Well, it's a 70. They'll just do a 72 hold. That's
right, but I'm saying they'll send somebody to pick you up and take you there.
Right.
And you don't have a choice in the matter. You just go. I mean, assuming that, like, you know, it wasn't some sort of prank call, which is a terrible prank to pull on somebody.
Well, and here's what I'll say. The cops know what they're doing, and as much as, you know, my opinion of cops is what it is, they'll show up, and if you could be the craziest asshole in the world, if you show up to the door like, oh, good afternoon, officer, how are you doing? What? No, I have no idea why they would think that. No, feel free to come in and look around. And then they'll leave. That's really what happens. They come out, they do what they think is a thorough search, and then they leave. But that doesn't mean it gets the crazy person off the street.
Right.
And again, by the same token, if 10,000 people are killed by gun deaths and 4,000 people are greatly injured or killed by DUIs, aren't those both problems that could be dealt with by the same thing? Let's make everybody do a background check to get a gun. Let's put breathalyzers in every car.
I don't think that we need to do breathalyzers in every car.
How is it any different? A gun is.
I'm not saying
it's an 8,000 pound weapon.
I'm not saying that. Do you know people who would drive home drunk?
Yeah.
Like, it absolutely, completely smash shit face.
Doesn't matter. They're going to drive.
Oh, I know, but like, absolutely would
Always
drive.
Gonna drive. Yeah.
So, if there was a line that you could call for just them.
Right.
And say, like, listen, these people are dangerous.
Right.
They get blackout drunk and then they drive home. Like, I know for a fact that they're going to do it.
Right.
Would you be opposed to some sort of thing for them?
No, and
if it was proven...
I wouldn't be. Well, I would be in principle, but because here's my problem, is that if we're going to do it for one thing, we should do it for a lot of things. And if we do it for a lot of things, then it starts to look a little Big Brother-y.
I understand that.
You know what I mean?
I get it. And I don't like it any more than you do. But I'm saying there has to be... You know, what we're having right now is just a discussion about, like, what can possibly be done. And I mean, like...
That's a plan. It could be done.
I mean, I feel like, at the very least, it's something.
Right.
It's not a perfect solution. I don't think there is a perfect solution.
Well, listen.
There's nothing that's going to check all the boxes. There's just got to be, like... something that can be done here and something that can be done there, and like eventually we'll come to a solution that solves.
So listen, the person that starts getting high and doing the Baltimore lean in downtown, should they just be have their freedom taken away because it's clear they're under the influence of drugs?
No.
Should the person who's shouting something, the relatively mental health care issues homeless person who's shouting about whatever random nonsense, should he be able to be silenced?
No.
All of those things are constitutional rights. So why is it that the Second Amendment's the only one that we say we should be able to take that right away?
Because the Second Amendment, the gun is something that's able to kill somebody, and words don't kill people.
Words have killed more people than guns ever have in the history of the world.
No.
The word of a leader sends a country to war.
Yeah.
So, did Hitler ever own a gun, or did he ever use a gun other than his own military service?
Right.
No. But he inspired the deaths of 60 million people. Words did that, not guns.
Well, I mean, actions did that.
Did Charles Manson kill anybody with a weapon?
No.
He inspired other people to do that.
Right.
Words can be just as dangerous. In the hands of the right person, words are more dangerous than a gun. If you gave Charles Manson a gun, he wouldn't have known what to do with it. He was a bit of a pussy when it came to that.
If you're talking about the people who shoot up schools or churches or anything like that.
Yeah, the ones who rant crazily about gender and race and religion.
Yeah, I mean, you can make an argument that much like you're saying, like Hitler words equal 60 million Jews dead.
Yeah. You
can make the argument that something, because of something, gun, mass shooting.
But my point is,
it's not.
If we're gonna stop,
the gun is the middleman.
All right.
What I'm trying to solve is the thing that starts it.
So let's take away the right to say anything that's aside from the norm.
No,
all of these mass shooters are inspired by racist, religious zealotry. All those writings and they all write their own stuff too. So why not take away that right, and then we'll get it before the gun even comes into play? Because the First Amendment's different than the Second. Yeah. And why don't we just lock them up? If you make a call about me, why can't they just lock me up? Because
they shouldn't be able to. Though.
Why? The Fourth Amendment. You're right, because of the Fourth Amendment. And why is the Second less important than the Fourth?
I'm not saying it is.
No, you are. But you're saying that we are going to treat them differently. And my point is, argumentative ridiculously, but in the end, if we are going to treat them differently, then treat them differently, but don't act like we're going to treat them all the same.
Think about it like this. Like there's random drug tests or something like that. Like, maybe it seems like you get random drug tests after you've been talking all week at work beforehand about how you're going to your friend's bachelor party.
Right.
Like, all of a sudden that's when my random drug test happens?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that seems weird and unfair and, whatever, but like...
That's employment.
Yeah.
That's not
a
constitutional right.
But listen, if somebody came to me, so like say I went to buy a gun.
Yeah.
And they said, You've been picked for the random super background check.
Right. Like the Muslim at the airport?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, just like all of a sudden it's like you're the one. Yeah. Like at the end of the day, I'm trying to buy a gun.
Right.
That's capable of killing people. I can wait it another week while they do
a car is capable of killing people too.
Yeah, but
so's a knife.
I have to take a test to get a car, and I have to go through 9 months of driving with a responsible adult.
And there's my point. If we're going to treat them similarly, let's treat them similarly. And I'm all for the licensing. I'm all for the testing. I'm all for all of that. But when you start talking about this big brother aspect of all of it, that's disconcerting to me because it means we're treating them all differently. No matter how crazy and racist and religious zealotry I want to stand on the street corner and shout, I can do it.
Yeah.
Because it's an amendment. It's my constitutional right. The police cannot pull me out of my car and, well, theoretically, they can't arrest me for nothing just because they don't like who I am because of an amendment. It's very similarly, the Second Amendment has a different holding. And it's more important chronologically or in the eyes of those who wrote the Bill of Rights, second only to the ability to speak. The government searching your person and papers and taking you under arrest, taking your life, liberty, punishing you to an extreme, all of those things fell after this. So they thought that it was second only to the speech. Why should we treat it any differently? But that being said, I'm for the licensing.
Together as a country, we have to figure out some sort of solution that works for as many people as possible.
Right.
And I'm not saying that we have to figure out the grand scheme to rid the world of gun violence. We just have to figure out what we're going to do to curb it a little bit. And you know what? Honestly, part of it, I would say, is a media approach has to be taken.
Yeah. Talking
about the First Amendment.
Yeah.
Freedom of press and stuff like that. I think there should be a little bit of a curtailing of that, of the what the press is allowed to talk about in this regard. So, like, at baseball games,
yeah,
if you run on the field, they don't show it on TV,
right?
Because they don't want to give you a moment of fame on television.
Somebody at home recording it, and yeah,
right. They don't want you to like go like, oh man, if I run on the field, then I get to be on TV.
Yep.
Because somebody will do that.
Yep.
And I feel like not showing it has curbed that act a little bit. I mean, there's still people who get
but as many
and,
games as we've gone to, I've never seen somebody run on the field.
No, you've seen it. It's happened at opening day before.
Okay. Well, the difference though is the alcohol consumption.
Well, yeah. But I'm saying like it doesn't happen nearly as much as it used to.
Right.
When they would show the person running on the field.
Right.
And I think if there's gonna at some point, because of this shooting, there's going to be a whole like hour dedicated to like what was the life of this guy like?
Yeah.
What was he like before the shooting happened? Let's dig deep into all of his writings. And spend an hour basically hero worshiping this guy for the people who think that he's great.
Yep.
Like there are people. Okay, so like we can watch a thing on the History Channel about Hitler. And go like, God damn, Hitler was terrible.
Yeah.
God, how did he ever do it? Like, how did he convince so many people? Blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
But there's somebody who else is watching that Hitler documentary and going like, this guy's got some great ideas. We should bring it back.
Not the great ideas part, but I watch those and I'm like, one man can change the world. Look at that. He just has to.
Yeah, but I'm saying like people
everybody takes it different ways.
Yeah, people can take it different ways, and like not everybody watches the Hitler documentary and says this guy's a loon.
No.
Or this guy's wrong, or this guy's terrible, or whatever. Everybody will take it a little bit differently. And if you're inspiring somebody who sees, a story about Dylan Roof, and goes like, man, I can't wait till they talk about me on the news all the time, how great I am for my actions of killing all those black churchgoers. Like,
well, and to bring it full circle, the sheriff in Oregon said, you will not hear anyone from my department use his name. We will talk about the names of the victims, the names of the heroes. There was an ex-military man who basically got shot 7 times in an attempt to take down the shooter. Saw that. So we'll talk about him. We'll talk about the victims. We're not going to talk about the shooter. We will refer to him as him or the shooter, and that's it. And that's I don't know that that's a bad response, is to say these people are nameless and faceless. We can talk about why they do the things they do, because people do look for an explanation.
Right.
But let's not hero worship them. Let's not glorify them. Let's just say this is what it is.
Yeah.
These are the facts. Now let's talk about the victims.
We talk about, like, what an incredible force the internet and the press is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there were many times throughout history where, obviously the internet sort of throws a curveball into it because it makes it easier for you to get whatever information. You could find that video of the guy from Virginia.
Yeah.
Like the first-hand video of him shooting people.
Can't find the video of SRB, though. Damn it.
You can find that video if you want.
Yeah.
It's out there. But, they weren't showing it on the news.
No.
Because that was sensational.
Right. And, I mean, it's the same thing.
And it would send the wrong message. And the...
Well, if the news...
I mean, like, the press used to not talk about, like, FDR's...
Right.
Wheelchair.
And nobody knew.
Yeah, like, they just acted like he was a normal, everyday guy. Because they didn't think that the American people, like, necessarily needed to see their president like that. Not that they didn't need to know.
But it was a tough time. Let's think of him as he is the president.
Yeah, let's think of him as
the
this...
office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or,
Nixon ruined that.
Or not only that, but, like, back in the days of old Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, the idea of reporting on somebody cheating on their wife, like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't news. This is just dumb rumors and slander.
Well,
and now we have entire websites dedicated to...
Well, there were rags.
Oh, yeah,
who reported it, and people said that's the lowest form of this media.
People would laugh at the National Enquirer.
Right.
Like, oh, they found Elvis.
Right.
But, like, now it's... The story on TMZ goes so quick, so fast.
Yeah.
And if it's something even a little bit salacious or entirely untrue... It can get around the world super, like... Yeah.
Well, here's one thing we can promise. We do our research. Some of it's opinion. But you won't hear any of that salacious nonsense about how I hooked up with, Selena Gomez. Sloane.
Is she... Emmanuel Shariq.
Is that? Yeah, sure. Let's say that. Let's say that. You won't hear any of that on this podcast.
Until it actually happens.
Well, then you'll hear a lot of it after that happens.
Well, when it does happen,
yeah,
the place you're going to want to find out all about it,
right?
otheanthem.com, Cory at otheanthem.com, otheanthem on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, and the listener line, 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. And I don't have a voicemail from the press secretary. I'm going to be very upset.
Well, and you can find me online on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. Make sure you check out at robertncheek.com, where you can find links to the blog, to a dead drop, which is still working the kinks out, but it's going to be up. I promise it's going to be working. And you can even find links to my books, which are on display now here at the beautiful The Anthem Studios.
By Rob's Books.
So you can find me there at Robert and Cheek. And all the big stuff that happens, we seem to be tweeting a lot about it. So I'm enjoying that we're doing that. So make sure you follow there so we can stay up with us. So.
All right. Well, I think we've done good here today.
I think we've done something. I don't know if it's good.
All right.
Well. So you've been listening to the The Anthem podcast, part of the The Anthem digital network. For Cory, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
How popular do you think we would be if listening to the The Anthem podcast put you on the list for the extra background check? You listen to those OTA guys, you got to go through the super background check.
Being on this podcast has put me on that super background check. So.